It's that time of the week. Jayo Stole Sports NFL edition. We're heading into week 3. Got my guy Jay Lynch repping.
Come on. You see, the thing is, right? Last episode, I had a loser on, I had the Florida Gators sweater on. I had to switch it up, because I wasn't ready to, for my first episode, I downplayed the Saints,
Yeah.
Dennis Allen, Derek Carr. They're turning it around though. It seems like, they surprised me, they shocked me. So I had to get back with the boys. So I'm ready, I'm back, in winning ways.
All right. Y'all are undefeated 2-0, but there's many other undefeated teams in the league so far. But I just want to know, who do you think out of those teams is the most fraudulent? They're not truly a great team right now.
Yeah. So you know how it is, like we get into every week, there's going to be overreactions, right? Football is a sport that's covered intensely because again, every week, every game matters, right? So when one win happens, it's like, oh my God, this team's the best team. When two losses happen, then it's like, oh my God, this team's finished,
Mm.
right? But it's 18 weeks, you know what I mean? So you got to be cautious. So teams like the Vikings, teams like the Steelers, teams like the Seahawks, all fraudulent teams.
Bucks?
All team Bucks, no, Bucks are for real. I think Bucks are
I do too.
contending with my guys up here.
I do
So,
too. I do
so
too.
we'll see. But the Steelers, Vikings, Seahawks, these are teams that will go on a down slope,
Mm.
and eventually look to be fighting for a team to be over 500. But
Right.
those are the three teams I'm looking at. They're all off to a great start, playing great defense, and I forgot one team as well, the Chargers. I'm down on the Chargers, and they have the whole new head coach boost, but they haven't played anyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The two first games, who did they play? They played last week. They played Panthers
Yeah.
with Bryce Nunn, and they
Yeesh.
played the Giants, right? So that's two games that those are the two worst teams in the league, right? So looking at that, like we'll see this week. They have a much tougher opponent. Again, 2-0 2-0 teams going
Mhm.
against each other. Chargers versus Steelers.
Yep.
I like the Steelers in that matchup, but
Me
again, I,
too.
I still I still think they're two fraudulent teams that are just faking it right now, and later on, as we get later down the 18-week season, we'll see them team fighting to make the playoffs.
That's a fact. Okay. And then let's talk about the 0-2 teams. Which one
Yeah.
of those teams do you feel like are a contender or can be a contender, say, at the end of the season?
Well, yeah, clearly we got to look at the AFC North, right?
Mm.
Looking at the Ravens and the Bengals.
Yep.
Again, slow starts, both of them dealing with a lot of injuries. Ravens really and truly, they could be 2-0, but it's unfortunate, right?
What
Uh, uh,
I gotta ask you about Lamar on that run. Should you have kept running? What was good with that lateral? Because I was like, dude, just keep running.
I
Like
mean,
I know he's probably tired. It's at the end of the game, but
yeah.
you only had one more guy to beat.
Yeah, it's true. You never know with that, but you think if he keeps going and then he gets caught up and behind, and it's over, right? He has no
That
one
is
around him. The play call was probably get him in yards as you can, and then try to lateral it and see how far we can do and hope for a miracle.
true.
But yeah, Ravens are one of those teams that they're not going to be a team that's fighting for the playoffs. I think this 0-2 start is just, again, they have a first place division schedule, right? So it's going to be a tough one. So they're going to come across games that, it's going to be tough for them to win. But Raiders, they got to win that game, right? 9.5 point spread. Like that's a game they have to win. Like the Chiefs, like, you can take that out. But against the Raiders at home, come on.
There's no excuses for that, especially as a two-time MVP. There's no excuses. You have to outduel Gardner Minshew.
Yeah,
That's
simple
all.
as that.
That's the bottom line. You have to outduel Gardner Minshew. But you called the number one draft pick last year, Bryce Nunn. I've never
Mm,
heard of that. That's
mm.
crazy. Bryce Nunn. But
Bryce Nunn.
but in all reality, is it fair that he is getting benched so soon? Because at the end of the day, new coaching staff, obviously, they have Dave Canales now, and he has no loyalty to Bryce.
Yeah.
So is it just a part of the business, or should he have gave him at least 2, 3 more games instead of pulling the plug so early?
Yeah, Bryce Young's in one of those situations where he's set up to fail.
Mm,
There's nothing he could really do. It seems like the team is not going to be doesn't play for him. The offensive line, the coaches aren't supporting him either. So it's going to be interesting when Andy Dalton plays this week, and we're seeing a much better effort from the team. Like I could see Panthers somehow, some way, um, making this game close against the Vegas Raiders, right? And
mm,
then we'll be like, oh, it might just be Bryce Young. And then again,
yeah,
that's unfair again. If a team is now playing harder for another quarterback, like there's must be something else going on at that organization. Um, so it's not looking good for Bryce Young.
yeah.
And it's looking like one of those things where it's a bust. Number one pick, that's gonna end up being a bust in the NFL.
No number one receiver. And it's also not looking good for Alabama quarterbacks, period.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, he's choking.
Hmm.
Tua has an injury problem. Mac Jones demoted to a backup.
Yeah.
Bryce Young looking like a bust. It's tough, man. It's tough because I'm a Bama guy, and then I'm high on Jalen Milroe. And
Yeah.
then now, if you just look at the history, it's like it's probably not gonna pan out.
Well, who knows, right? If we look at the Ohio State quarterbacks, they have the same stigma, right?
Mhm.
Ohio State quarterbacks, they'd be the best thing since sliced bread in college, come to the NFL, and it'll just go terrible. So CJ Stroud has turned that around. So maybe Jalen Milroe, who knows? He could turn it around, But
We'll
so,
see. We'll
but
see.
we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm. Sticking with quarterbacks. In honor of Future dropping his mixtape Pluto today, we gotta talk Russell Wilson.
Come
So
on, Pluto mixtape. Yes, sir.
so Steelers, they're 2-0 right now. Justin Fields, he's doing his thing. Should they
Yeah.
continue rolling with Fields, or once Russell is back healthy, does he get his job back?
I think Tomlin always wanted to go with Fields, really and truly.
Mm,
And now he just like, oh well, he's winning games, you know what I mean? So it's like might as well keep him out there.
yeah,
Um, so it is interesting, right? It is very interesting because again, it's a long season, right? Fields eventually will show his bad play. Fields isn't the greatest quarterback when it comes
no,
to passing. When he's gonna have to get when he's gonna be behind in games, we're gonna see a different side of Fields, right? So that will be interesting when he is playing from behind. He doesn't have the lead. Maybe TJ Watt suffers an injury, and you
yeah,
know what happens to the Steelers when TJ Watt is out.
they can't win.
It changes the whole dynamic of the team. So it'll be very interesting because again, the games he's been in, low scoring,
Yeah,
like what they've scored like what 22 points in 2 games, something like that, some low scoring
very,
number.
very
So
low.
again, well, I think they only have one touchdown, right? In 2 games, they have one touchdown.
Yeah,
So
something like that.
so looking at that, it's just like, okay, so it's been a defensive games in both games. So I think it feels like hand the ball off, run, protect the ball, like it's a simple job.
Mm.
So, but that's not going to be the case all the time, right? So we'll see. It's going to be a tough decision, but you got to ride the hot hand. And
Yeah, you have
Russell Wilson, it's going to be tough to get that job back if the
to.
defense is still playing like that.
Yeah, yeah. And then obviously the locker room, they're gonna be like, nah, Fields is a
Yeah,
guy. He's
yeah,
winning.
exactly.
But
Coming off this
that's,
Pluto mixtape, they're probably bumping it in the locker
oh
room and
my
everything.
goodness, no shame. No
Yeah,
shame.
yeah. Feel no ways.
But
Don't even see Russ.
all right, two black quarterbacks face off. And I just want to know who has more pressure in this game, Ravens
Mm.
versus the Cowboys. Again, we
Two 0
mentioned
and 2 teams. I mean, no,
no, no, no,
sorry.
one and
Ravens are
one.
0 and 2. Yeah.
Exactly. But Dak had a horrible game.
Hmm.
And Lamar hasn't had horrible games, but it's just like we're used to better. You can't do that coming off MVP season. So
Yeah.
who would you say is under more pressure in this game? Lamar
Mm.
possibly going 0-3,
Yeah.
or Dak having two losses in a row?
Well, I think Lamar is under pressure for sure. Because I feel like Ravens are in a Super Bowl or bust um type of energy right now in the locker
Yeah,
room, especially with Derrick Henry. They pick up
yeah,
Derrick Henry in the offseason. So it's like, okay, now we're There's no problem in terms of us having no running backs and Lamar having to run the ball. We can hand the ball off, and we have receivers, Zay Flowers, um, Bateman, and Nelson Aguilar. Like that should be enough. And Mark Andrews and
Yeah,
Isaiah Likely. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
with Dallas, Dak, he has his money. He secured the bag. CD secured the
Highest
bag.
paid player in the league.
You know what I mean? So like, yes, they're at home. Yes, with Dallas, the whole thing with their fandom is Super Bowl or bust every year. But you know what happens with that team. So
Yeah,
again,
come
we expected Dallas to take a step back this year, regardless. So again, I'm sure they'll make the playoffs or find a way to sneak into the playoffs. But this Ravens team, we're looking at this team as a team that should be fighting for the number one seed in the AFC and going back to the Super Bowl or finding a way to get to the Super Bowl, right? So there's a lot of pressure. They can't go 0-3 in that division that they're in with Cleveland and the Steelers and the Bengals.
Yeah, you mentioned Zay Flowers. Man, the guy had the celebration of the week last week, paying homage to Jacoby Jones.
Yeah.
Killed that dance.
RIP. RIP,
Oh,
man.
oh, for sure, for sure. All right. Before we get to our predictions, I wanted to tell you something, man. What I tell you about them Bills, you got to show that you could beat the champs
Yeah.
to be the champs. Bills 2-0, man. Bills 2-0.
Man.
They're not showing like it's a huge loss without Stephon Diggs. You did
Hmm.
mention Josh Allen needs to have an MVP type season.
He's a
He's
candidate
looking
for
good.
sure.
He's looking good, and just the whole team, man. They lost so much guys, but one thing they have that camaraderie. They have that camaraderie, and once you have that coach and QB duo tight knit, it's tough to beat
Hmm.
teams like that, man. It's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough to beat teams like that. So I still think the Bills, even though the Jets don't really want to talk about my Pats getting slapped last night, but even though the
Hmm.
Jets did win last night and won last week, I still favor the Bills over the Jets. And we already know you can't really put any faith into that Miami team without their starting quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true, right? Again, great result, great win. I was on the Dolphins that game, really and truly at home. But Tua, he's doing too much and led to him getting concussed, right? He
Yeah.
was playing poorly anyways, so
Yes. No. Yeah.
I guess he wanted to get himself knocked out the game on purpose. At that point, right? Give us a change the narrative, pretty much, right? Now we're all concerned about his health and his family instead of him playing downright awful, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't know what happened to the Dolphins. Thompson is now their starting quarterback. They have weapons all over the field, but will it be sustainable until Tua gets back?
We mentioned Bryce Young earlier. If he gets traded, like what team do you think makes the most sense? Because
Mm,
obviously, the team we just talked about, Miami Dolphins. I've heard people also mention the Rams. What do you think? Because he's a first overall pick. He's gonna get another chance. What
mm.
team do you think makes the most sense for the former Alabama guy?
Wow, that would be very shocking. Just to know that the organization would just throw him away just that soon, but I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? If it was like, hey, this ship has sailed. Let's get what we can right now. There's some teams that may need a quarterback. Let's see if we can get a third round pick, fourth round pick, fifth round pick, whatever the case may be, and then let him go elsewhere and renew his career, have a fresh start. But that is a good question. That is a good question. Where would he end up if they wanted to trade him? I don't know. The quarterback play hasn't been the greatest, but
No, not this year.
I feel like some teams are going to be patient with what they have. But if it's something where Tua ends up, I can't see them doing it. I can't see the Dolphins doing it. They had
Uh-huh.
a small quarterback.
Yeah.
Like now it's like, all right, let's try Bryce Young. I don't know how the fan base would take that,
Yeah.
knowing that like Bryce Young is in just not good regards right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Who do you think? If you had to think, you think the Dolphins?
I mean,
If Tua doesn't come
I
back?
just I just feel like you can't take another Alabama quarterback. Tua's from
Yeah.
Alabama. Rest. I think
Yeah,
it's
exactly, right?
just
That
it's
too.
bad to go to another Alabama quarterback. None of them have panned out. None
Yeah.
of them have panned out. And you remember when Tua first got drafted? They were speaking about his size.
Yeah.
And Bryce is smaller than Tua.
Exactly.
So I don't know. And it's crazy to say a number one draft pick after only 1 year would be a backup already.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I'm
Like I,
saying?
I was gonna say like maybe he's in a Justin Fields type
Yeah.
situation where he goes to a team, he's supposed to back up someone else, but he's
Yeah.
fighting for that job. Right. But like that's just crazy in year two.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I don't know, man. But again, I want to talk about last game I want to talk about from last week, Monday night. Eagles versus the Falcons.
Wow.
Jalen
Shocking.
Hurts. Jalen Hurts, fresh off his engagement. They can't close out the game.
Oof.
I understand AJ Brown is out. I understand Jason Kelsey is retired. But like, what is the deal? How do you not close out that game? Is it
But
quarterback? Is it
is it
coaching? Is
yeah, I
it
don't
no
know.
pass
I don't
rush?
know. Is it
Is
on
it
Hurts? Or is it
secondary sauce?
Sirianni? I don't know at this point. Like, is it Sirianni? I think I heard this hot take before, but I feel like if Eagles don't win that division or have a good run, I don't think Sirianni comes back next year.
Oh, no chance. No chance. But if you really think about it, I could see you think he could even end the season? What if they do so poorly? Remember, they're 2-9 in their last 11, so maybe he won't even
Yeah,
make it through the season.
it's true. Right? And they have a tough game against the Saints in New Orleans this week.
Yeah.
If they go 1-2, things aren't looking too good for that team, right?
No.
Like they're lucky that Dallas suffered a loss, and but if Dallas wins against the Ravens at home, that puts them in the back seat,
Mhm.
right? So I don't know. Eagles, it was a simple thing. There's no reason why they should have lost that game. Run the ball twice.
Run the ball twice.
One burns the clock. You
Yeah.
guys don't pick it up. How much time is left on that clock, right? 30 seconds, 40 seconds, maybe.
Trust me. Trust me.
All right. So now Atlanta, instead of having a minute 30 or however long they have 40 seconds to get all the way down the field. Right. And I guess it changes because now they just need a field goal, but still.
Yeah. But regardless, as bad as Jalen Hurts has been, it's just the full team is
Mhm.
looking like a disgrace. It's a
Yeah. It's
disgraceful effort, obviously, on Monday night, and you're at home. And
mhm,
you know how Philly fans are. They're gonna boo
mhm.
regardless. But
Yeah.
you lose in that kind of fashion,
Yeah.
chill, man. You have to like be like, we're not good enough. Like,
Yeah.
honestly,
Clearly, they still have holes in the secondary.
no, they have
Clearly.
Darius Slay Jr. is the most overrated cornerback in the
You can't
NFL.
say
I don't
that, man.
care.
Last year he had
No, no,
the
no.
year
There,
before he had a great season. I
there
don't
is
know about
no big
last year.
Slay I've been seeing lately. Getting cooked like that? Drake
Yeah, yeah,
London is
yeah.
not even a top 10 wide receiver, and he barely did anything.
Yeah, it was an easy just
It was an
in
easy
and out.
road.
Yeah.
Easy road. I don't understand this.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
Georgia guys, Jordan Davis and
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter,
No pass rush.
where's the pass rush?
Kirk
These guys
Cousins
don't
can't
do
even move,
anything.
right?
Kirk
And they
Cousins
couldn't
is
get him off the
fuck.
spot.
Kirk Cousins is not good on prime time.
Yeah.
And they lost to him in prime time. The Eagles are a joke. I don't care. The Eagles are a joke. Even if they do make the playoffs, I don't think they're gonna do anything. It'll be probably just like last year. They'll make the playoffs and then lose in the first round. How do you take a team like that serious?
You can't really. Honestly, you got to look at teams like Tampa Bay or Detroit or these teams that just find a way to win over a team that looks better on paper, right? That's what you have to do. Like you can't. You look at Eagles. Oh, Devontae Smith,
Yeah,
Dallas Goedert, Saquon, Hurts, all these big name players,
yeah.
but what's the result to?
Zero results, man.
Zero results, right?
Zero wins, man. Like I know they did get the win in week one, but 2-9 in the last 11 is not a good look. Like teams have obviously caught on to Hurts and what's going on.
Yeah.
They're forcing him to throw, and obviously he can't really stay in the pocket. It's just rolling out.
Hmm.
And when he tries to throw deep, it's always a pick.
Yeah.
So I don't see Jalen Hurts like obviously he got paid, but he needs to fix up his game, man. Kellen Moore, even Kellen Moore, like Kellen Moore, yes, I understand he's always gonna get picked up by a new team,
Yeah.
but when he was with the Chargers, Herbert wasn't great. And when he was with the Cowboys, Dak wasn't great. And
No,
now
he
he's with
wasn't.
Philly again. And look at Jalen Hurts to start the season.
Not looking good.
So it's
Throwing
just
interceptions. What, 3 interceptions so far?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's not looking good.
I don't know, man. Not a team to be trusted, the Eagles. But let's get to these picks. We're gonna go with three. We're gonna go with three picks. Let's start off with the Sunday nighter. Again,
Mm.
Kirk Cole.
Yeah,
Kirk
back in
Cole
prime time,
back in
man.
prime
Back
time.
in the prime.
Kirk Cole back in prime time. But the difference is he's facing the best quarterback in the NFL. So the Chiefs, they're 3-point favorites over
Yeah.
them. What do you think? Are you going with the points here, or do you think Kirk can have back-to-back good prime time showings?
Uh, again, we forgot to mention in terms of these injuries that have been happening all over the league,
Mm,
but I think Pacheco is a big loss here, right? He really controls the ground game for the
yeah,
Chiefs, and he gives them that play action effect. Because you have to really worry about Pacheco getting in those 5, 6 yards and pounding away at your front seven.
yeah,
So they don't have a running game right now. Carson
and
Steele, I know this. They drafted this kid out of UCLA. I
yeah,
don't know how good he'll be. All right, I feel like he won't be able to have the same impact as a Pacheco.
yeah,
And then I know they have Pirine out the backfield, right? But that's more so in the receiving game.
yeah.
Uh, but really and truly, I don't think the Chiefs will struggle against this Falcons team. I think this Falcons team, their offense is built around Bijan Robinson.
Mhm.
If Bijan Robinson is getting off, then again, it's tough to stop this team. And Drake London was definitely more impactful in week 2 rather than week 1, having that game winning touchdown.
Yeah,
But outside of that, Kyle Pitts, that same story of Kyle Pitts. So it's really two guys. And if they can bottle up Drake London and Bijan Robinson,
yeah.
there's not much there. And I think the Chiefs front seven will be able to get Kirk off his spot and put some pressure on him. Now, I think the problem is again, first thing I got to, right? The Chiefs. Are they able to move the ball? Are they going to struggle against the Falcons defense? I think they have a good secondary, but other than that, I just think Patrick Mahomes, prime time against Kirk, I got to give that to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and something that's interesting about this game and just about the Chiefs offense, if there's like a prop bet that you would want to go, like you're going over with passing attempts.
Yeah,
And if you're into fantasy, you want to start a guy like Xavier Worthy,
yeah.
Travis
Rasheed
Kelce,
Rice. Yeah,
Rasheed Rice, because no running game.
yeah,
Kareem Hunt is already not going to, they already mentioned he's ruled out because he's not going to be ready. He's not up to speed. So
yeah.
they're going to be slinging the ball. They're going to be awfully one-dimensional.
Yeah, I agree,
So,
and I could possibly see Falcons getting out to an early lead at home, um, punching them in the mouths early, and then Chiefs are gonna be forced to throw, and I think they'll be fine with that, knowing that that's gonna probably give you the best part of their game is being able to pass the ball, knowing that they have the receivers, but the running backs not so much.
yeah. So there's two Monday night games. I think we should touch
Cover
on
the both of them. Yeah.
both of them.
Hmm.
One team 0-2, another former number one overall draft pick, Trevor Lawrence, and he's facing Josh Allen, who
Yeah.
is 2-0. Bills 5-point favorites against the Jags. What are you thinking in this game?
I think the Jags again. Funny, interesting stat. Trevor Lawrence is 0-7, is it? In his last 7 games?
Yeah, yeah.
0-7.
So
So
bad.
I think his back is against the wall, right? The quarterback play, it's something with these younger quarterbacks, they had so much talk and built up these guys like they would be good to be the next Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's, and
John
they haven't
Elway.
been able to live up to the hype. So I think their backs are against the wall. I think the Jags really need this game. Do they win? I don't know, but I do think they cover the spread and they'll keep it close.
Okay, okay. Commanders against the Bengals. Commanders are 7.5 point underdogs. You think Jaden Daniels can keep it close in this game? Battle of two LSU quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. I think this is going to be an exciting game. I like the over. I like a lot of scoring in this game. Um, Washington has no defense. So Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown, Jamar Chase goes off this game. I'm
Mm,
not sure if T. Higgins is going to be back yet. I'm not
yeah.
sure if he's been ruled out yet. I think he may be questionable,
Mhm.
but he has some extra rest being a Monday night game. But I like Joe Burrow to have one of those games and to go off this Monday night game for sure. So I like the Bengals. I like them to cover. Again, Jaden Daniels, like you never know. He's one of those guys in garbage time. He's gonna go off, right? He's gonna run the ball. He's gonna make plays. So the back door will be open, but hopefully Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can slam it shut.
Yeah. So it's NFL, it's football, physical game, violent game. Injuries happen.
Mhm.
Injuries happen right away. Injuries
Yeah,
happen
we
in
know
training camp.
fantasy guy, us being fantasy owners, we know how
Yeah.
that goes.
And I've always said, if I have the number one pick, I can never go for CMC. As much as I always said that.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, I've never had the number one pick, but I said if
yeah,
I ever got it, I would never go for CMC because he's too injury prone. I've seen it in
yeah,
Carolina, and the same thing
yeah,
has happened here with
yeah.
the 49ers. So he's already on the IR.
Hmm.
You already mentioned Pacheco, he's out 6 to 8 weeks. So with those two running backs, who do you think is a bigger loss for their club? Do you think it's CMC
Mm.
with the Niners or Pacheco with the Chiefs?
I gotta say CMC, right?
Hmm.
Pacheco, of course, he helps to have a balance in that offense, but he's not the bell cow. It's Patrick Mahomes' team.
Yeah,
With the Niners, CMC is the bell cow. Like
he's the
they
best player.
go based off of CMC. When they
Best
need a
player.
big play, they hand it off or
Mhm.
they dump it down to him and he makes a big play. And they're
Yeah,
missing that, right? They're relying on now they're forced to rely on of course Jordan Mason's doing well, right? Because they have good running schemes with that
yeah,
Shanahan offense. But um when they have to rely on Brock Purdy to pass the ball to Debo or Ayuk or Kittle, and Kittle's now out too,
yeah.
eh, that's not going to be a winning formula, right? We saw it in right after the game. Brock Purdy, he's like, damn, Brian Flores, that was a good
Rated by
defensive scheme.
Forrest.
Damn, I never seen something like that before in my life. So
Yeah,
if that's the case, you never hear something like that come out of Mahomes' mouth, that's for
that's
sure.
crazy.
So he Brock Purdy needs his best friend and
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey back in that backfield for sure. I think we'll see what how Patrick Mahomes does without Pacheco, but I think he'll be a bit more fine. But Brock, he needs that guy CMC for sure.
Going to wide receivers, these guys are only they only have short-term injuries. But
Mm.
what's a bigger loss? AJ Brown with the Eagles or Keenan Allen with the Bears?
Well, we saw the Bears in prime time, Caleb Williams in prime time, and it didn't look good. And Keenan Allen was trying to help him out on the sidelines. He was like, yo, you got to see this, you got to see that, you got to make adjustments. So I think definitely Keenan Allen is like a safety blanket for a quarterback, a rookie quarterback like Caleb Williams, and it helps him a lot. Um, but again, it's new, you know what I mean? Like, it's not it's new, it's a new Keenan Allen. It's not Chargers Keenan Allen. So
I also look at it. You've seen what DJ Moore, there was an out. Caleb missed him on an out,
yeah,
easy
easy
out.
out. Yeah,
He got pure separation.
yeah,
And he just missed him. And
yeah.
DJ Moore was on the ground for an awfully long time. And
Mm-hmm.
bro, he wasn't injured. He was just
Yeah.
that pissed off.
Yeah,
Took his
you can see
helmet
it.
off. You've seen it,
Yeah,
just that pissed off, took his helmet off,
he was
went to the
sick.
sideline.
Yeah,
He has no time for this.
yeah,
And he did mention last year that Justin Fields was his guy.
yeah.
He
And he keeps
mentioned that
mentioning
last
it.
year.
Yeah, I know.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
know.
And he had his best season last year.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if he had his best production from last year, he wants the same quarterback to throw to him.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Caleb, he's gonna go through growing pains. But one thing I did not like is the way he took that advice from CJ Stroud.
Hmm.
Like CJ Stroud's a big dog in this league. I don't care right now, he's a
Yeah.
top five quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
And Caleb Williams is kind of like trying to brush him off, acting like, oh,
Yeah. But
yeah, yeah.
that's
Like what? Bro.
Caleb Williams is gonna have to have a lot to learn this season for sure. It's gonna be a rough season for him. And he has all these weapons. He has Roma Dunze that he's
Yeah,
missing too. I saw an open
yeah,
touchdown that he missed in the red zone as well.
yeah.
But Caleb Williams gonna have to change his attitude. I heard someone say I think it was Mace.
Mm,
Mace said that he's playing like he's still in college, and it
yeah.
looks like it. He's just like he's reacting rather than being proactive. This is a game like you got to be proactive. You got to think ahead, or they're gonna think way faster than you. It's the faster game.
Nah, I couldn't rate that. Like fellow man them,
Of course.
fellow guy.
Hmm.
And you wanna like kind of
He wasn't taking him in
side-eye
at
it. You
all.
wanna kind of walk off. The guy had to grab him. You had to check him. Be like, bro, I'm not done chatting to you.
Yeah.
Like what? This guy's trying to like, bro, you won your first game because of the defense, not because of you. Come correct.
Yes. Yeah. Simply. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if he smartens up. But that guy CJ Stroud, he's a winner, man. And
Hmm.
yeah, this is football, man. This is the NFL. This is week 3. Jay Lynch, you already know. Chop
Yeah.
it
We
up.
got a long season to go,
Facts.
man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it. Saints 2-0. Let's go into week 3. 3-0, baby. Let's go.
I see that. I see that. I see that. Y'all subscribe, y'all like, y'all comment. Coming back at y'all next week. Let's enjoy this weekend of football.
Stay safe out there. Salute.